So let's casual gaming. So let's casual gaming. So let's casual gaming. So let's casual gaming. I find it. No, I've lost it. Oh shit, it's gone. No, I can't find the button.
Story of my life. Hello, you are listening to Thoughtless Casual Gaming with Brett and Chase. We are a Geelong-based gaming podcast where we play games very badly.
Exceptionally badly, right?
Extremely badly. And then we're silly enough to get on here and talk about them.
So you can revel in our woefulness.
You can laugh at us, which I'm sure is, like, they should file this podcast under comedy.
Oh,
Not because we're funny,
I was
but
about to
because
say.
people laugh.
Not intentional comedy. That'd be
Yes.
misleading. But
Not with the comedians, but the other kind of funny.
the ones where you kind of laugh at people. It's like
Yes.
just, Schadenfreude.
Yes. You guys are funny, but not ha-ha funny. Anyway, tonight we are throwing way back, going back to November in 2020. We did an episode based around a little game called Mordheim.
Such a long time ago.
And literally that was the last time I played it.
Oh,
So,
we need to fix that too.
Yes, we need to fix that. Because, I mean, for anyone who is not aware of Mordheim, we have an episode back in November 2020 where we go through, we played it, we explain sort of how it works, but it's basically Warhammer skirmish roleplay.
Yes. All of those, which are literally the best things about wargaming, all like rolled into one nice little package.
Yeah, you're doing a little bit of role playing between games, buying new crew. There's what do they call it? It's like turn zero if you're playing in a tournament or something. It's that whole thinking between games.
Yes, I don't know what they call it, like that whole upkeepy type thing. Yes.
Developing your warband. Your warband can have ongoing medical issues, can't it?
I mean, can't we all? They get old, but yeah. So it's similar to Blood Bowl in that things can get, players or things can get skills, but also they can get injuries and other stuff. And equally, the added stuff with Mordheim is you can start. You explore for treasure. You might find treasure. You might find, a bit of a settlement or a map that gives you more buffs later, or it's stuff like that as well. So it's not just the players; it's also you start building this little sort of narrative around the stuff they've done.
Yeah, and it's not too many models too, which is also a good thing. Handful of models.
Literally maximum 12 in the warband I'm running.
Okay, yeah, that's not much. That's a Blood Bowl team.
Mm-hmm.
Easy enough to paint up, easy enough to acquire, let's say.
Unless so many options.
Unless you want some of those old Mordheim models. I'm sure they're quite expensive these days.
Yeah, well, look, the original stuff, let's not go there. But, I mean, if you've got some laying around, but it's literally one of those games where it is converter's dream. Because anything goes, right? You find a roster that you like the look of, and then you go hunting for bits.
So I've played more Mordheim on the Xbox than I have actual Mordheim. And I mean, you've played more Mordheim than I have played, but my Mordheim crew on the Xbox, I'm pretty sure I'm thinking 2. There's at least one without an arm. I think it's 2. You ever seen anybody model those? Like, has anybody snipped off arms and?
Not recently, but and Necromunda was the same back in the day, in that you would have this campaign going, and as guys would get new equipments or weaponry or injuries, people would literally take to their painted models and upgrade or downgrade them as required. So they literally reflected what was happening in the campaign.
That is the absolute best. So, yeah, like we said, back in November, we did an episode on Mordheim. It's still our most listened to episode, which surprises and excites me at the same time. But if you want to know more about how the game plays and things like that, by all means, go back and check that one out. That's not what we're here about tonight.
Nah.
What we are here about is talking about a little league thing that's going on. What do they call it? Is it a league or is it a...
I think it's a league. Yeah, look, we'll go with that.
All right.
So it's one of those really weird things that it's one of those games that I have loved but haven't had a chance to really dive into for such a long time. And you kind of get a few games here and then it dies for 10 years. And then you play 2 games there and then it's gone for another 10 years. And local scene, playing it, throw the dice, a lot of games and stuff. And the idea of the game drops a lot. And someone's like, "Oh, Mordheim." And I'm like, "Yes, I'm interested. You should talk about that." And then it goes away. And it's kind of done this for however long. And then somebody who wasn't me, because I wasn't organizing anything else, let's be honest, went, "Nah, I'm keen. I really want to play this." And so put together a bit of a Facebook group and the chat and a thing and started going and got a few games going in store and a few people like me who have been going, yeah, I'm interested, but I'm not going to do it myself. But I'm interested if someone else does it, have piled on.
Because it's
And
one of
that
these games that GW has not done anything with for 74 years or something, isn't it?
correct. And it's also one of those games that the community has picked up and run with and updated rules and erratas and consolidated all of the resources, and they've got fan made rosters and community made rosters and stuff like that as well now. So it's one of those ones where the official support of the game died, but the game never died.
Mhm.
Um,
Kind of like what
e-
happened with Blood Bowl way back when, before
Completely, but
GW took it back.
even to the point that Tumas Pirinen, who is one of the original writers, is still an active member of the community and will respond to rules questions and will, get involved, which is super crazy, but pretty amazing. And there's a lot of people very excited when he responds to anyone's posts on a thing, or weighs in on our rules. And it's just like, right, well, God has spoken. This is thou shalt. This is how it works.
Yeah.
But this basically happened, and a few people had a few games, and it kind of kicked off, and they did, all right, well, let's get a bit of not a slow grow because but let's get a little league going, get a few games happening, get some of the progression and everything happen, and then we'll see where it goes. We'll kind of.
Excellent. How many people are currently playing?
I
And
think
is
there's
there room for others to join?
So I think there is currently 8 playing,
Mm-hmm.
but we're on the last game next week of these little leagues. So it was a set, everyone
Yeah.
plays everybody kind of deal, or I think no, not even that. We're going to play 5 rounds kind of deal, and then see what we think, see what worked, what didn't, see if
Yep.
other people want to jump in and all that kind of stuff. So it's been, it was pretty short and sharp and focused, and we'll just get a core bunch of people who are super keen at the start to play, and then hopefully you've got a situation where you've got enough of an established-ish player base that you can suck more people into the vortex and watch it get bigger
I
up.
must say, it's really tempting because it's one of those games, and I love me some Skaven, but I can't really play too much Skaven in things because I don't want to play Age of Sigmar because I don't want to buy 70,000 models.
Correct. Or
But
play Age of Sigmar.
well, I haven't played Age of Sigmar, so I will let you make that decision for me.
You're welcome.
But I do have my little Skaven roster. He's, with an assassin and a couple of black Skaven. There's a rat ogre there, and a sorcerer. And I'm pretty sure I painted the majority of them with like sort of contrast, but then layered up, and they look fantastic. I'm really proud of the warband that I've done, which not only surprises but also, I'm quite proud. I'm quite proud. The Rat Ogre in particular is one of my favorite models that I've painted in a number of years. So getting them on the table would be kind of cool.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where the commitment for getting them on the table is not like the model count, right? Getting them on the table, an hour,
Hmm. Okay.
you're
Because
kind
they're
of
shorter
done.
games. Yeah.
And this is, I'm talking about an hour when you've got people who are still working out how the fuck the game works.
Hmm.
Um, I remember being a lot more across the rules, playing with people a lot more across the rules than me, and being like half-hour game, quick, upkeep step, another half-hour game, and
Okay.
you could kill an afternoon, play 5 games.
Because I think we knocked out, I'm pretty sure we knocked out 2 games
Yep.
in the night when we played.
Yeah.
And then possibly recorded straight after. So,
Yeah, he's not long.
Yes, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Alrighty. So, I mean, this, as I said, it's been kicked off really quickly. It kind of snowballed brilliantly. I'm so involved. There's, a few people that jumped in at the ground level, just with the idea that we'll get a few reps in, get some people with some games so they can kind of show people how it works and without fumbling through the rule book for everything, and then do that. But who is good? So I had a dwarf warband sort of painted, ready to go, and that was kind of plan A.
That's what
Plan
you used
A,
against me in
yes, because they're
memory.
there and they're painted,
Yep.
and I've done it now, and it's cool. Plan A got thrown squarely out the window when I found someone had sculpted, so the original Mordheim Witch Hunter warband, like the original
Mhm.
models, literally like for like sculpts of all of the different available options, except they were all halflings.
Okay.
The poses, the weapon loadouts, the equipment, the everything is identical, but they're halflings, and it is the best thing in the world. So I found them and immediately had to run, and then the decision was: do I run them as halflings, or do I run them as the witch hunters? Because that's probably going to involve painting less.
I think Witch
Um,
Hunters would be the way to go.
which is exactly what we did. Um, so
Now,
I
are these 3D models? Like, have you
yes,
printed them? Yep.
yeah. And look, I'm looking at the ones I haven't done yet because they weren't in the starting roster, and there's more to be done, and I'm still excited about them. I've just got other projects that are sitting in front of them now. So that was one of those ones that I couldn't not have them painted for the first game. So I reckon in about 2 weeks I bashed out the warband just to get them on the table. A whole bunch of contrast and happy days, really.
It's
So
such
much fun.
that whole contrast method. It makes things like this so easy, especially when you're not sure if the games will continue. Maybe people will play one game and then get bored and then move on. But having them painted makes the game more immersive,
Yeah.
and that contrast, being able to just whack it on and knock them out in not too long.
And there was a conversation we're having unrelated to Mordheim, but around painting models and about the fact that sometimes you sit there and you paint something and you're looking at it from 6 inches away from your face and you're criticizing everything and every little brushstroke and stuff. But then you see someone else's across the table and you're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. I love this. And then if you pick one up and you put it 6 inches from your face and you criticize it at the same level, you realize that it's no better than what you have done, but you're looking at it across the table as a fully painted thing. So often done is better than perfect in so many instances again. So yeah, this whole contrast concept lends itself to get it on the table, make it look done because that looks great, and then you can spend as much or a little time as you want.
This is probably why I haven't added any more photos recently of my models to Instagram or anything like that, because I just don't want to get up close with the camera.
Need to do action shots, put them in some scenery or on a pitch or something, and then just
That's not a bad idea. Take a photo of some games in progress.
yeah. And then I know there's a whole bunch of like cinematic effects you can put on with like a little, if you want to put some smeared dirt or some blood or a lens flare across it, make them look some smoke.
Or some like stars and sparkles and
just a pow as they're punching.
Little love
Thwap.
hearts for the halflings.
Yes. Back to Mordheim.
Yep.
So, anyway, I found this warband. I went, that is absolutely in, and that's how quickly I fell. So I've put together a warband. I guessed what would be good in it. I guessed what I replicated a lot of my equipment loadout, so I didn't have to think too hard about which models did which things.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
so
that makes sense.
If all of these models have the same type of equipment, they'll all do the same thing. Kind of helps me early on, and put them on the table. And I think I've played 4 games so far. I'm down to my last one now. He says, doing a quick math. Yep. So we're about to play the last game next week. But it's been literally a game a week for the last 4 weeks. And you go in, you're there for an hour, you play a game, and then do what you want and go home again. Get a McFlurry. It's the best.
How is the games going? Have you been winning, losing people?
So, look, I have fared a little bit unrealistically well. So,
especially
if you do
halflings.
Well, yeah. Fortunately, they're very, very witch huntery halflings. So, warband, hang on. Here's some notes I prepared earlier. Can you hear this?
Oh my God.
That's notes. Well, actually, it's my warband roster, because otherwise I would forget them.
Even so, seeing you with paper on the other side of this podcast that's not something that happens very often, people.
No. But my warband is almost completely unscathed.
Ooh.
Somehow.
How have you managed that?
I mean, I may have, I think a dog ate it and a guy got captured. And then, we'll get to this, but I had a game where I captured one of my opponent's models.
Yes.
That is a thing. So if they go out of action, you see what happens at the end of the game. One of those results is the opposing warband captured them. They can choose to sell them to slavery for X amount, or to ransom them back to you.
Okay.
For a price agreed by you. Like, you literally just go, right, well, this was with zero context on what things should cost and how this worked. But in the same game, the fortunate thing here is I also had a character go out of action who was also captured by my opponent. So we just swapped back. This is the moral of the story. Yeah, it worked.
Prisoner trade-off.
Yeah, we didn't want to have to think about that and negotiate and any of those things. So the roster, and I had witch hunters and I had halflings, and I needed to find appropriate kind of, because this is the other bit, right? It's not about my dude with a sword did a thing. It's about little Dave who. And the story. But anyway, so the Sandwich Club Slayers, as they are known,
yep,
my little witch hunter warband, I very much went on the approach of I need a witch hunter thing and I need a sandwich thing for every one of my characters and things.
Okay, yes.
So
this does sound like very Jace naming.
My witch hunter captain, the leader of my warband, Balthazar von Ruben. You see how this goes.
I see it.
Yeah, he's got some
approve.
stuff. He's done some stuff. And then there was excessive amounts of me trying to Google sandwiches.
Yep.
So my first witch hunter, Johann Butterbrot, because that was the most German sounding sandwich I could find, which is actually just butter on bread, FYI. There is Pierre de Gerber. There is Monsieur Croc, as
Mhm.
opposed to Croc Monsieur. See what I did there? I just flipped him around because I'm a clever little dude. There is Alonso de Cuban. He's very exotic. And Jean Muffuletta. And so I got very, like, we went for sandwiches around the world. This was great. And then my two flagellants, you can put them together in little groups and just name the group. So I got my fluffernutters, the little flagellants.
Yep.
And I got my po' boys, which are my two little zealots. And then I've got my dagwoods. It's my dogs.
Yep. Yep.
And then, so, and I'm skipping ahead, but it's very exciting because we're at literally the last game of the whole league. So there is 0 point in keeping any cash in the bank, doing
Mhm.
anything. So I'm absolutely hiring a mercenary ogre for this, who will be called
Okay.
Toast.
Somewhat keeping to the scheme, but yet still not at the same
Yeah,
time.
not quite. It's just a little bit. So anyway, so and this is the kind of, you can take this as serious or as piss takey as you like, but it's been glorious around just going, and even things like, so the warrior priest, bit of a spellcaster, and I'm like, all right, he's a dude, but until I roll his spells, which is a random thing that he gets at the start, I don't
Does he
really
get
know what he does.
does he get different spells every game?
No, he gets them. He just gets one, and that becomes his thing that he
Okay.
can do. And then you can get another spell later if you decide to give him that skill. So, but again, you would randomize that, and he would have two spells, and he could choose.
Yep.
But he just has the one. And until I randomized that, I really didn't know what he was going to do, because I went through the list of spells, went, oh, these all do some different things. He got a spell like a Hammer of Sigma or something like this. It was glorious. But basically, it makes him a cruise missile in combat. So
Okay.
he
Yep.
he rocked up. So I gave him a couple of hammers because I figured extra attacks are never bad. So we'll do that as a
Yep.
starting point. And then his little spell, if he manages to get it off, gives him +2 strength on his attacks and
Yes.
doubles the wounds that you do to your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
So he rocks up with his two little hammers, and as long as he hits, there's an issue. He just melts anything he touches. It's great, which means now I just push him forward,
Yep.
which is glorious. He's currently my MVP, except for the last game. So it's this kind of stuff. So first game, if I have a really quick try and remember what's going on there, first game was against a Chaos Possessed, or a Cult
Mm-hmm.
of the Possessed, and a couple of big dudes and some dire, like there was all kinds of stuff there. It was a little bit terrifying, but that was the game where I kind of. Oh, was that one? Or was that the other one? No, that was the second one. So yeah, no, the first one was the Cult of the Possessed, where we basically just ran at each other. However, my opponent, and this is again things that you learn because there's no pre-measuring,
Yep.
and so he had a couple of guys with bows, and as it, you kind of go, oh yeah, no, this makes sense. You put the guys with the bows where they can see everything on the top of a thing, and then we checked the range of the bows, and they proceeded to walk the entire length of the board over the course of the game because their little bows couldn't reach anyone. So it was,
It's
it
kind
was
of
that
that.
kind of.
Yeah. So kind of that thing where you're like, oh yeah, this is 6 inches, and then you measure it, and it's actually 2.
Oh, yeah, that is a legitimate risk. Uh, it's why my wife can't parallel park. You got 6 inches to go. Crunch. Um, so I mean, but super fun. Where there was a couple of possessed, which are these big kind of monstrous criticized things. But we had this whole thing where I killed a dude, and then killed a dude, took a dude out of action, and then they proceeded to got minced in greed. And then there was this kind of turn, later in the game where were rolling dice to do stuff, and just every single thing was failing between us. And we realized that everybody's stats are kind of shit, which is great because it means things like someone with a bow can't just snipe everyone because you've got to roll like 5s and 6s to hit anyone. And then that's before you wound it.
That's fantastic.
It's great. And, you know, the other one I really like is this whole concept of routing. So once your warband takes 25% casualties, every single turn there is a chance that you just like, nah, we're out, and they bail. So it's a leadership test. It's nothing special.
How many people do you have in your crew?
I'm at 12 now.
Okay, so if you take 3,
Yeah.
okay.
Which in the grand, everyone's only got 1 wound, and everybody's pretty keen on hitting stuff. So it happens pretty quickly. Or it can snowball really, really quickly. But this is the game I realized that the warrior priest spell was a little bit bullshit, and I should just push him at the biggest, nastiest thing there and let him do his things. Then the second game was against vampires. So basically a vampire, and then a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm not entirely sure what all the stuff did. There was a necromancer. There was some direwolves that went even further than my dudes.
Some bats.
No, there wasn't any bats, but there was a lot of zombies and things running around. But also the scenario for the second one, because that's the other thing. Everything's a scenario. Like, so this was an attacker defender where the undead were in a house, and I had to go get them out of the house. So
Is
again,
it not all bash into the other team? It's like
no, one of them was, so there was treasure in a building, so you had to go and search all of the buildings to find the treasure and then get it out. Some of it's, you're already holding the treasure and you've got to get it off here, or you've just got to survive this long. There's a couple of just straight up bash fests, but yeah, there's a lot of doing other things. And even with those bash fests, it's stuff like, you get extra credit for taking enemy heroes out, because you capture their treasure, whatever they're carrying. But also for everyone you lose, of any of your heroes you lose sort of, treasure for the end of it as well. So it's not just about bashing everybody. Like, you can be clever about picking who, and the game result, it has a flow-on effect.
Yep.
Because then you've got less shit to buy dudes with and equipment and all that kind of stuff.
So if you start losing a couple of games, is it likely that you'll keep losing, or
Look, it still has a bit of a balancing mechanic. So almost like an inducement style deal.
Okay.
Where if you are playing a game against a more experienced crew, you get more reward out of it. Basically, more generally, more treasure or more gold or weird stone or whatever the hell. And that's not necessarily affected if you choose to route. So not only do you have to take a test to see if you run away after you take some casualties, you can just be like, nah, I'm out. This isn't risky, or it's too risky, it's not worth it.
Brave Sir Robin.
Yeah, and you can absolutely, and there's times there, because if a game does go south and it can snowball, which is part of the fun, to be fair, but you can just go and we're out at your turn, and save a bunch of heroes, and you might not get a lot of award for that game, depending on the difference in the warband rating, but I mean, you've also got a chance to your leader didn't die, and this did, so you've got that option to kind of play safe, and then pick the games where you really want to go ham, or you can do what I'm doing and just go ham every game and hope. So
these witch hunters, they know no fear.
I feel like it's in. Well, I've played the possessed, the chaos possessed. I played the vampires, so neither of those I was allowed to back out of.
No.
Then the Amazons, which was a terrifying game. I feel like because there is, right, there's a lot of fan or community made rosters, and I don't know, and not only that, but GW released a lot of sort of new rosters over the years when they were supporting it as well.
Yeah.
And we all know how much that slight creep
Yeah.
of power
Yes.
can sneak its way in. And I don't know. And it also could be the fact that I've played next to no games. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and things are perceived as powerful when they're not. They're actually really well costed, or they've got other negative effects I just didn't notice. But they were terrifying in that all the heroes had like 2 wounds. All my guys get 1 wound and die. And they had special equipment stuff that did stuff, and I'm not entirely sure. But either way, they were slightly terrifying. And they all hit before me because they had better initiative because they were Amazons, not just my plebby dudes. So it was one of those games, but it was also one of those games that just snowballed. There was like, I had a bunch of dudes out, and then all of a sudden in one turn, I took like 3 of his guys out of action, and he was like, "Yeah, no, I'm done before this goes really bad."
Was
And
this
that was
Hammer Guy?
Hammer Guy did a little bit of work, and then there was like a big cluster where I had like 3 of his guys and 3 or 4 of my guys all having to go at it, and there was one round where he just rolled badly, and I did not roll the badly. And all of his guys ended up on the ground really quickly, which
So
is great.
if you choose to retreat,
Yes,
you technically lose. Yeah.
you lose that game,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean you get nothing out of it.
Yeah.
Is
So it
the
doesn't matter. I
difference?
mean, you could be miles ahead on
Yeah,
everything else, but if you choose to leave, you're out, sort of
and
thing.
this is exactly what's happened. So that game was a go and get the treasure
Mm-hmm.
situation, and there were a whole bunch of houses on the board, and you had to go in, and you had to. Every time you entered a house, you rolled 2d6. If you rolled a 12, then you'd found the treasure. If you
Okay.
didn't, someone had searched that building, and you can only search each building once. If you've searched all of the buildings, the last one you go into automatically has the treasure. Now, I feel like my opponent had a really good idea in that he just didn't bother searching anything. And I proceeded to wade through house after house going, haven't rolled a 12, haven't rolled another 12, until the only house we hadn't searched was the one sitting right on his back corner.
Of course.
And there was about that moment I went, oh, that would have been clever.
Yes.
Anywho, so he was literally had a guy sitting next to the house who had to walk in, grab the treasure, walk off the board. Done.
Mm-hmm.
But right before that happened, I murdered a whole bunch of dudes. He failed the leadership test, and all of a sudden I get the treasure.
Excellent.
So,
That seems fair.
that is exactly how it works. And equally, if he had voluntarily routed, the same thing happens. So yeah, that was the same game where we both captured one of our dudes. And so I had actually, that game was more lucky than I thought, in that I had one guy captured by my opponent, but we traded back because I captured one of his.
Yeah.
And I had another one of my guys sold to the fighting pits as the end of game result.
Did you sell him, or did somebody else sell him?
No. He was
Who
taken out
got
of
the gold?
action. No, but so the way this played out is he was taken out of action. And then if you read the description for the result that I got when he was taken out of action, it's like he wakes up in these fighting pits. He's not sure how he got there. He doesn't have any of his equipment. Or no, I think he still has his equipment at that point in time. So he wakes up, and then there's a pit fighter mercenary that you can hire in the game, and you have to fight one of them. And if you win, you get gold and their equipment and all kinds of shit. If you die, you die. If you lose, there was another roll, and eventually, basically, I got him back without his equipment. I bought him some more equipment. It wasn't the end of the world. I definitely did not beat the pit fighter though. That dude murdered the shit out of my guy.
I
But this
figure
is the
that's
kind of
probably the
fun.
most likely outcome there too.
Absolutely. I went, Pit Fighter. What's a Pit Fighter do? Flicked around, found the thing. I went, holy shit! Ooh, and then you roll off to see who charges, so who gets to strike first. And I lost that too. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this is not going to end well.
And
And
this pit
lo,
fighter is just hanging around waiting for people to wake up and then
yeah,
bashing the crap out
just
of them. That's
knocking him on
his
the head.
life. His
That's
job.
he's not his first rodeo.
Yep.
Any so yeah, but this is the kind of shit that happens at the end of a game. So a character gets taken out of action for the game, so he's out for the game, and then you finish the game, and there's just like a D66 table,
Mm-hmm.
um,
And all
and
these things that can happen.
all of these potential things from he gets some really impressive scars and causes fear, or he's now hardened to battle and he no longer is scared of anyone, or he hates some kind of dude, to he loses an arm or a leg, to he just flat out dies, or he's has to fight his way out of a gladiator pit. So many options, it's glorious.
This is really, really tempting me just to load up the Xbox again and have a bit of a go before. But I want to get these Skaven models on the table again.
Yeah.
That needs to happen.
Well, as I said, the Witch Hunters have only got one game left, and then I don't know what we're doing for the next one. I don't know whether I want to take the same warband. So,
Of course not. You got to take
no.
something new.
Well, I did have this brilliant idea where I thought the Blood Bowl Imperial Nobility team
Mm-hmm.
would make a great Mordheim warband.
I can see that. I can see that.
It feels backwards because you've got to add the weapons on rather than usually you're cutting them off to make Blood Bowl team. But I thought that'd be cool. And I was having this idea around, okay, how would I make them less Blood Bowl-y and more Mordheim-y? And then I remember someone saying, what if they don't do that? What if they're a Blood Bowl team that got drunk in a Mordheim pub, playing at some league, and went, nah, this Blood Bowl thing's too dangerous. We're going to go look for treasure.
Or they're just trying to find their way back after a drunk night.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's
reckon
going
it
to
could
be,
work.
it's a world's end, basically.
Nobility would work really well with that too. And
Yeah.
yeah, like especially that guy with the pipe, he's still my favorite. Stick a sword on him.
Yeah, I
A
reckon
couple
that.
of weapons on the fat guys.
Yeah, they're posed, and then they're posed to be. There's one of the human merc war bands that's like the rich kids,
Mm-hmm.
effectively. So you could paint them all super shiny and stuff, and have them as like these college jocks.
Yep.
Again, I feel like this would be glorious. Anywho,
There's a crew like that in Necromunda, isn't there? Like the rich kids with their
yeah,
many
the
weapons.
spires and stuff.
Somebody at GW is very upset about something. Putting all these rich kids into every game.
Well, I mean, that's the only people who can play GWs.
Well.
I'm not sure why they're. So, and then the last game, which was glorious, because I don't know whether. So Fletcher's playing a Noblar list.
Okay.
And I don't know how official or unofficial it is, and I don't care because it's glorious. Because it's got a bunch of Noblars. Great. It's got a Noblar riding another Noblar, which counts as a horse. Great.
Yep.
It's got a scrap launcher. Glorious. He's got a catapult. It's the best. So, and just a whole bunch of little shit kickers. Like
So
little.
this Noblar riding another Noblar.
Yeah.
Are they in a trench coat?
No, because he counts as a horse. So he's not trying to pass off as a human. He's actually riding. He gets more movement because he's riding.
Model-wise,
Yeah.
you could
But
totally
you
trench
could.
coat.
I did consider that. I did maybe suggest that at some point. But he's like, no, but he's not trying to pass off as a human because he gets more movement because he's a horse. I'm like, well, he needs to be holding some coconuts or some shit.
Yep.
Either way, but that was the game that I'm like, right, there's Warrior Priest. I've worked him out. He's a cruise missile. I'm just going to point him and I'm going to push him forward and he's going to murder everything in his path. And then the very first turn, a scrap launcher took a shot, landed a big old pile of shit directly on the head of my warrior priest, and he was gone. I'm like, I was doing that thing around. Oh, no one actually manages to hit. It's shooting in Mordheim. He's gonna have to roll a 6, and lo and behold,
these are the sort of games that like you just can't take too seriously too. It's like Blood Bowl, but you know, if people are gonna get these lucky rolls and do this weird and wacky shit, you gotta laugh and roll with it.
absolutely, it was the best. It was just like, and I'm seeing that because the other rule for the scrap launcher is that you roll for the type of ammunition that they've put into it, which is a random
Okay,
thing.
yep.
So it could be a bloody rock or just a boulder
Or a chicken.
or and the one that he rolled was literally like this, like it was like a little template that everyone within X amount gets hit. So it was like they just got sprayed with shit. It'd be Either way, very first turn, very first thing that happened, Scrap Launcher looked at this guy coming straight at him with his angry little hammers and went, nah, you're out.
Beautiful.
So it's been great fun in that the games have been quick. It's been playing against a whole bunch of people I've never played before. So, I'm meeting some different gamers, playing some different stuff. It's small count, so I haven't had to paint shit tons for it. Might have to paint an ogre for the next game, but that's one ogre. I can live with that.
Yep.
Been super fun, and it's one of those ones that you would quite happily play a day or a night or a bloody day and a night of just games, do a thing, move on with your life. I think they're talking about, can we get a 1-day event going so you could do all of that progression and stuff over the one day.
This is really tempting. Really tempting. I'm definitely going to have to whip it out on the Xbox and then turn the Xbox on and play some
I was
more
going to
time.
say, you're going to play some more time too? Yeah.
Yeah. Give that a go because I am very tempted. I don't know how if I can dedicate time to a league or anything like that going on at the moment with a few things happening, but I am very keen.
Look, and it's also one of those ones that if you can or you can't dedicate to a league, great. And I mean, it'd be great if you could do, and we're doing at the moment, it's a game a week, which is actually a bit of an investment. I feel like we've hit a good pace with that one a fortnight for Blood Bowl. But it's almost one of those ones where you could just have a couple of war bands and you'd be like, oh, I'm free tonight. Just want to play a couple of games. Play a couple of games because you can do the leveling and the hiring and firing and all that kind of stuff, the injuries and the captures and the stuff, and then be like, great, if we don't do this for another 3 months because life gets in the way, you just save that warband for that, so they're at a similar level.
Yeah, let's 3 months sounds good. 3 years.
That's poor form. That is very poor form. Now
that's my fault.
When was the last time we recorded anything on Marvel?
Oh, it was a while ago too.
What other games did we play 3 years ago? We should look at some of those.
Underworlds was one. I know that much. D&D was another. We talked about D&D way back. Anyway, we just let's just not go over old episodes. But if you're interested, if this is the sort of thing that intrigues you, and it definitely intrigues me, maybe there's a Facebook group or a Facebook.
Yeah, so there's a Geelong Mordheim Facebook group. Rich at Throw the Dice has got all the info, and that's where all the games have happened anyway. So, I mean, that's probably the first port of call, and then somebody will add you to yet another Facebook chat. But it's also been one of those really fun experiences where it's a bunch of people learning the game. So everybody is in there for the right reason. Nobody knows everything. Nobody's spanking the living hell out of everyone because they know more things than the other people. And there's so many like rules that we'd play, and we're like, I think it does this. All right, we'll do that. And then you get to the end of the night, and you go back to the rule book that night or the next day, and you'd be like, "Ooh, I feel like we know." Hey, do you remember this rule? Do you remember how we did this? I don't think it does that. Here's what I can find. What can you find?
That's exactly the intro of this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what this has been like, because no one's a veteran of the game, so everyone's just kind of fumbling their way through, but having the most fun doing that, which has been so much fun. So I feel like that's the benefit of jumping in to this game at this time, because everyone's just really happy to play games more than anything. And nobody's like, you're not going to walk in and be like, oh, you're all going to spank the hell out of me because you know how to play and I don't. Nah, we're probably going to get a whole bunch of stuff wrong. And I am fairly confident that even when we've locked and loaded the rules and everyone's playing games and they're doing stuff and it's really cool, we're going to meet someone who's been playing for 20 years and they'll be like, oh no, that's not how this works.
What the hell kind of a game have you guys been playing?
Yeah.
That's not Mordheim.
In
That's
your
something totally different.
your little vacuum, you've totally misinterpreted these 4 key rules, and it changes everything. Plausible, and I don't care because we're having fun.
Well, that's it. You're going to have fun playing this game until you meet that person, and then you're going to have fun playing the actual game.
I'm gonna learn a whole new game. It's gonna be the
Yes.
best.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, yeah, Mordheim happening, throw the dice, but it is a funky little game, and I
Yeah.
need to get on board.
Look, I've now, as I said, I'm 4 or 5 games in, again, and it's refreshed enough that I'm confident enough with the rules that I'm like, all right, I think I can muddle through games again, which is great. Which means that whenever we want to play, that's an option. And if anyone else wants to jump in, I'm 100% on board for that. And we can just make our own one with blackjack and hookers.
Excellent. Matter of fact, forget the Mordheim. I mean, forget the blackjack and hookers. All right. What else is on? A couple of things we want to talk about. Training day happens this Saturday, so looking forward to that. There will be an episode shortly after that going over how the day went, what the results were, all that sort of stuff.
I've got everyone's rosters in. It's the best. Thank you to everybody who actually sent them in.
Which
on
was
time.
everybody.
It was everybody.
Pretty
Everyone.
much, yeah. And this
Unless
is
you're not
fantastic.
coming, in which case you didn't, in which case be a better human.
Yes. In which case, she's going to hate you for that. But give us 3 months. We will lock down a date for the next one. And the next one will be coming advertised soon. And if you can't make training day, which I know there are a number of people that can't make it for that particular date for whatever reason, lock in the next one as soon as you can, people, because they're always fun. We are also both involved in a little painting competition that's going on at Throw the Dice. I don't know what it's called. Reaper Minis or something like that.
It's the Reaper one. So, I mean, effectively, Rich has gone in and he's got quite a few sort of role-playing and Dungeons & Dragons groups playing in the store. And he's ordered in to support that, and also just for a big old selection of options, a bunch of the Reaper models, which are inexpensive.
Yes.
So if you need a thing to be a thing in your game, you can probably go and find one, and you're probably getting change from a tenner. It's great. So my favorite kind of painting competition is one with some kind of forced or random elements. And this has all of them, because A, you have to paint one of these Reaper models, but B, you don't get to pick which one.
No. Totally random. Rich will roll a random number generator on a computer. I don't know why. I want the dice, man. Roll me dice.
It's a 68.
Yes.
You would
I don't
need
know
a
how you do that, but roll a D100 and take away anything less than anything more than 68.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And that's why he's doing it on the PC. But anyway,
or even better, 3D print a 68-sided dice. Anyway, he rolls a number.
You get a 7. Okay. What if we did an 8-sided dice as your 10s? Discount the 8.
Yes. and then a
And
10-sided dice.
well, it's a 68, so you would
Yeah.
need two eights. So if you rolled two d8s,
Well, if you do 2d8s, you can't get a 59, for example, because you're not going to roll a 9 on the second d8.
oh, that's a pain in the dick. Yeah, of course.
So
you would
d8,
have to go.
d10. Yeah.
No,
Anyway,
but it would have to be. It would have to be a d12 because you need a 0.
d10 has a 0.
It says 10 sides.
Yeah, you use the 10 as a 0.
Oh no, that makes sense. I can do things.
Oh,
Yeah,
but then
okay.
how do you get a 7? Anyway,
Well, that was yeah,
Rich randomly chooses a number for you.
and that's why we're not in charge of choosing numbers.
And that is the model that you get. And some of these models have been rather awesome and rather apt for the people. What did you get, Jace?
So I got a unicorn. His name is Silverhorn the unicorn. If you Google Reaper unicorn, this is exactly the model that you will see. I looked at this and I went, right, what the hell am I going to do with this unicorn? But I got plans now.
Excellent. Does it involve pink?
Well, maybe a little bit.
Excellent. If only there was another panda pink. Anyway, I rolled.
We've discussed this. It's got to be brown.
I know. I've got a little dragon, a dragon hatchling black, which is the tiniest little model.
He's adorable. You said you got a dragon, and I was waiting for you to pull out a box, like this giant shoebox of a thing.
It's smaller than a normal model, and I've got ideas too. I don't know why it says dragon hatchling black. Like I don't have to paint it black. I'm probably not going to paint it black.
But what if it was a red door? Would you want to paint it black?
No, probably not. I like red doors. But yeah, I have ideas. Black dragon hatchlings, lives matter. Yes. But yes, that is going on. By all means, get involved. Pop in to throw the dice.
It's so much fun in that it's a cheap buying because all the Reaper models are cheap. I think it cost me $8 to enter to buy the model that I randomly rolled. I'm 100% on board with that.
Cost me less.
Yeah. This is it. And there is such a variety. Like you may get some kind of paladin or a necromancer or an evil vampire or you might get a bookcase.
I want to see somebody get the bookcase.
I want somebody to paint different books in the bookcase. I feel like I don't want to have to do it, but I want somebody else to have to do it.
That is an option.
Yeah.
That is on, like I said, jump in to throw the dice, get on board that. The other thing that I do want to mention too is we have got a giveaway.
We don't just have a giveaway. Like this is beyond just, we've got a giveaway. Like I'm excited about this.
I am extremely excited. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I know I want to give one of these away. So it is for the Masters of the Universe board game. So recently out. Awesome minis inside. So much stuff inside the box. I don't know if you've opened yours yet, Jace.
Yeah, have I opened mine?
Yes.
There is a shit ton of stuff.
There is a shit ton. I opened mine, loved the look of it. We haven't played yet. We will be playing and we will be talking all about that before.
We should probably do that before the competition. Yeah, good.
Yes, we will make sure
we had that conversation.
Yes. But even before that, I have gone out and I've bought one of the expansions. So,
which I was surprised you didn't buy during the Kickstarter, to be honest.
I was maybe cash strapped at the Kickstarter time. So I kept it easy, kept it basic. Part of me still wants that little bloody Castle Grayskull that was Kickstarter only. But anyway, get on Facebook, have a look, find the post. There's a link to the post in our Discord. So if you're in our Discord, which is a fun little place to be. We had a couple of new people jump in recently, which is fantastic. Yes. Links on there. All you need to do, like the post. Make sure you like the post.
Like it, and not just in a emotional way. Click the like button.
Or the heart, as I was asked today, or anything else, just some sort of emoji to say that you have seen and liked the post. Like that post, and then jump in the comment section and tag somebody that you would like to play it with, or that you would like to hit with a hammer, or there's no real rules
Literally
around who you are
tag
tagging.
somebody.
Tag somebody, tag that
Anybody.
partner that
In
keeps on
fact,
tagging you.
I fully encourage you to tag a random celebrity.
Yes, by all means.
You know, I feel like there's potential and free advertising in that.
That sounds good. Patreons will get extra entries as per their Patreon tier, but that's normal for throughout all our giveaways. They are, after all, the people that are paying for the giveaway, so we feel it's only fair to give them an extra entry. The amount of times one of them wins it is not as often as you'd think.
So not. I keep waiting for it to be a thing, and I'm like, oh no, this isn't coming up. Okay.
Yep. Although we did have a Patreon win the big one last year. Speaking of big ones last year, we'll do another big one at the end of this year. And
Okay.
all those people that are coming to training day, and all those people that entered Paint It Pink, they've already got entries into that draw. Just saying,
Love it.
jump on board anything we're doing. We like to give away stuff.
Get on the train. It's good for everyone.
That's it. But that's all I've got to promote. You got anything else you want to say?
No, I've been exceptionally trading day focused for the last little bit.
Yep.
Going through checking off rosters. I'm so excited by rosters. There's so many rosters. And then realizing somebody had taken the roster that I was going to take in case we had to, and then I had to come up with a new roster, and then that broke my brain. And now I'm painting a team for a roster that I may not have to play.
Excellent. All of the above.
Yeah.
Give us a follow, all those social things, Discord, jump into Discord. All our links are on thoughtlesscasualgaming.com, so you can jump on there. Every time I say them, I keep on mucking them up, so I'm not going to say them today.
That's almost my favorite part of the podcast.
That's depressingly accurate. But
I mean, my actual favorite bit is the bit where it ends, but
you never have to do it until next time. Yeah, jump on that. Until then, we will say a special thank you, as always, to our Thoughtless Patreons, the highest of our tiers. These people are nuts, but thank you, Alice, Clinton, and Kingsley, for your continued support. Much, much, much appreciated. And thank you to all of our Patreons, too. We have too many to list off, which is great. All these people seem to think that we do something halfway decent, or they just want extra entries into the giveaways. One of the two.
I see what's happened here. Yeah, no, This is basically an investment scheme that we've started.
Some sort of pyramid. Excellent. That's it for us. Laters, guys.
Gotcha.
Gaming.